Hey guys, Greg here, Bone Tactical, checking in with another highly requested video. What to do if you get locked up abroad. What to do if you get arrested in a foreign country. Things to do and things to don't do. How to deal with that kind of a situation. A little bit about me and my background and why I would know that. If you are one of the few people tuning in here that don't already know, I've been locked up abroad in Spain, El Salvador, Germany, just to name a few countries. I am intimately familiar with the prison system in Honduras, okay? So Europe, I know the prisons and the jails. Central America, United States, okay? So I've been there, done that. I was also illegally arrested in all of these countries at the hands of the United States through false Interpol red notices and warrants that were pushed through illegally. So lots of information there on my background as well if you want to check that out. There's lots of videos on that. There's a bio on my website. But let's get into what you can do if you get in a bad situation with law enforcement in a foreign country. Now, some myths are that you should just completely go along with whatever. That's a myth. You don't really need to just completely go along with whatever. Just like anything else, there's a fine line and there's a middle ground that you need to play. On one end of the spectrum, you have just going total Jason Bourne and trying to, go crazy or escape or, anything like that. That's on one end of the spectrum, and that's not what you want to do. On the other end of the spectrum is just lay down and let them do whatever they want to you. Okay, so what we're talking about here is in the middle. How does that apply to you? What does that mean? Okay, let me give you an example. You may need to bribe a police officer if you're in any kind of a third world country. There's a big chance that you'll have to bribe a police officer. I told several times in other videos, I've told the story of how I was able to bribe a police officer in El Salvador when some members of a intelligence agency in the United States were down there flexing their muscles and using the local special forces to interrogate me. I was able to bribe one of the local special forces guys and was able to get a message out that in retrospect really helped me out a lot, because that's the only way my people knew that I wasn't dead in that situation, because the government pretty much just tried to wipe me off the map with that one, put me later on in a black site prison and had no outside contact with the world, and the government was lying about having me. So, big deal there. That big lesson for me, learning about bribing, potentially having to bribe a military or police. And in third world countries, it's not even, as we as Americans think of it like a bribe, but it's not really a bribe for them. It's a normal way of life. It's like a parking or speeding ticket. In the United States, that officer gives that speeding ticket, the government gives them the money, and we give the money to the government through paying the fine in the court system, and we're pumping money into the government that really we don't get anything for it, so to speak, in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. In third world countries, they don't get paid very much. They have to buy their own gas in some cases, buy their own bullets for their guns. They get $10 a day, the cops in El Salvador. So when you give them a little bit of money, they charge for everything. They ask people for money. The cops will say, "Hey man, it's a hot day today. Can you give me $1 for a Coke?" And they'll, give you good information for that dollar. So it's a different world, guys. So it's important to consider that it's not the United States that you're getting arrested in. And if there's any way you should do as much research as you can before you go to another country, especially if you're doing something that's like gray area work, or if you're doing something very dangerous work like what I do when I'm overseas. You really need to be fully aware. But even if you're just going on vacation, try and develop a local contact that you trust. Do a bunch of research on the internet before you go down there. Find out what the country's like. Find out what the laws are like. Find out if police are bribed or not. Like, for example, when I was arrested in Germany, police don't get bribed in Germany. I actually had some of the special police unit guys that arrested me say, "Hey, look, man, I've actually seen this before." One of the guys drove me in his Mercedes-Benz to did the transfer. Some of these intelligence officers, actually, at this point is what they were, for a unit over in Germany. And they said, "Look, I've seen this before. I know what's happening to you, and it sucks, and I hate it. And I know the United States has been known to do this, not very often, but I've seen it before. I know what they're doing to you is illegal, but there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just doing my job. I work for Germany. We have a treaty with Germany, and when the United States tells Germany to arrest an American citizen that's inside of Germany, they have to do it. They have to follow those rules. It's just following orders, guys. And that's one of the things that I really have against, pretty much the main thing I have against current military and police people, is that they always use that just following orders excuse when they know that what they're doing is wrong, immoral, illegal. So if what you're doing is a violation of the Constitution, if you're a police officer or in the military, then it's your responsibility to get out. It's your responsibility to quit that job and go find a job where you're not hurting others. So just really quickly wanted to give that out there. In other countries, it's common knowledge that police are corrupt. And in the United States, it's a little bit of a larger corruption scheme. The government's tied into it, and we have everybody bamboozled in our nation thinking that our justice system is a good thing or something like that. I don't really understand how people can be that ignorant, but the good thing about if you're in a third world country and you get arrested is they understand there, a lot of the people, that the justice system is not a good thing and that it doesn't work. In the United States, our common person is ignorant enough to believe that there's not corruption in government. So it works a lot differently. That's something you need to consider, but also a lot of these third world countries, for example, you can pay a little bit of money to get a better cell, to have a private cell, things like that. Those are all things that you need to do, because even if you're a really great fighter and they put you in a MS-13 cell, for example, because they have Calle de 18 cell, 18th Street gang cells here in this area of Latin America, and then they have different cells for MS-13, and they have different cells for different gangs. They have a cartel ward, this cartel. So the guys don't, they're different. They're rival gangs. They can't be in the same cell, obviously. If you get stuck in one of those and you're the only guy in there that's not in the gang, it's going to be bad news for you. So, don't be afraid to bribe. Watch my video here, like I said, about how to bribe a corrupt cop. I have a video up specifically on talking about how to bribe a corrupt cop. So watch that video if you're interested. But that's not what you think about when you think bribing a cop. It's common standard operating procedure, so you need to be aware of that. But in Germany, for example, or first world countries in Europe, in Bulgaria, you can actually bribe police there as well. But for example, that's Europe. But for example, in Germany, it's not as much of an option. You can't necessarily bribe the police. So you just really kind of need to play the system. And the biggest myth about getting arrested in a foreign country is don't play the system. You do need to play the system. You need to be aware of how things work, and things always work differently than what you're told. The world is not what you're told the world is. The world is what the world is, okay? If I think that everything they taught me in school is the truth, it doesn't make it the truth. When I get out of school and I go to get that job and I realize that everything they taught me is not the way that it really works, if I don't learn how to do that job the way that the job needs to be done and to the best of my ability, sort of like on the job training, and that's why it's better than schooling, then I just will fail. So it's the same thing with jail. If you believe what you were told, or if you believe what popular belief or what the government wants you to think, so to speak, or what other people may want you to think, you need to be able to have an open mind, and you need to be able to work around things. So if bribing is an option, bribe somebody. If bribing is not an option, then you need to try and exercise your rights to the best of your ability. On the other end of the spectrum, don't say, I'm American, you can't do this to me, I have rights, da 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 da. That's also what you don't want to do. You got to play that thing like I talk about in my Gray Man videos. What person do you want them to think you are, okay? You don't want them to think you're some kind of a crazy criminal. It's the same reason if you're going on vacation, you don't want to bring all your tactical stuff and look super tactical and act like you're having total situational awareness all the time, because in some countries they might think you're an American spy, okay? So you do need to be low profile. If you're a tourist, be the tourist, okay? If something comes up and something goes bad, it's better to not get arrested. Get out of that situation if you can get out of that situation. Getting arrested is the last option. For some reason, we think in America that leaving the scene of a crime is such a really terrible thing. Well, guys, if you're in danger, you need to leave. I have left scenes where bad things happened many times in my life, where if I stayed, I would either be dead or in prison for the rest of my life. Because those responding to that scene may not have your best interest at heart. And 99.9999% of the time, they're not worried about you. They're worried about them. They're worried about doing their job. They're worried about getting their numbers up for arrests. Okay, it's all stuff to consider. And the biggest thing here is think outside the box. You need to worry about your survival. You need to not be afraid to fight. If you do get put in general population, you need to be able to fight. But you don't want to cross the line and go too far where you really hurt somebody. Show that you're able to fight and willing to fight, but if it ends, let it end, okay? Because you need to be on that center line between everything, on that center line as well. We talked about the first center line between being this, I'm an American, you can't touch me, and then by being Jason Bourne trying to go crazy and kill everybody and get out of there. No, center line, okay? Find a happy medium. Play the system and play that center line as well between being a hard ass and being an easy target. You don't want to be an easy target. Don't look like you can get beat up. If you're a white American, okay, in any other country, you're going to either be white if it's not white skin color, or you're going to be American if it's not an American country. Then whatever looks different, or your accent, or whatever's different about you, you're going to immediately stick out like a sore thumb. So you have to play that to your benefit. They're going to try you if you're in general population, so be willing to fight. But again, don't cross the line, because if you're a great fighter and you kill somebody, then that guy's gang or whatever his criminal associates are going to come and beat the crap out of you with 15 of them. But just show that you're tough, show that you're willing to fight, maybe beat the guy up, maybe knock him out. But when the fight stops, let the fight stop. Try and end the fight without really hurting the other person. That's something big that I learned by being locked up in other countries too, because I can really fight. But if some guy approaches me and I kill him in a general population scenario, what am I going to do now when his 30 buddies come over and want to fight me? I might be able to take 5 of them. I might be able to take more than that. I don't know. It depends if they have fight training. It depends, all of this stuff. There's so many variables. If I can get my hands on a weapon, if there's, if I can use the environmental weapons to my favor. But if I just show that I'm willing to fight, it's a whole lot better than actually crossing that line. So there's so many considerations to consider being in a jail. So as you go along the progression of being arrested, first of all, don't get arrested. If something bad happens, get out of there, especially if you're in a foreign country, guys. Don't wait around for a corrupt justice system. I don't believe you should wait around in the United States for a corrupt justice system to try and help you, because it's not going to help you. Whether you're right or wrong, you're going to get screwed if something bad happens and you wait around and you talk to the police. So it's not any different anywhere in the world. Don't wait for the police. Don't talk to the police. Okay? If you do talk to the police and you're in a third world country, if you have to, try and bribe your way out of it, but look for those bribing signs. I have a video up on that, guys. You need to read the people. So all of this boils down at the end of the day to situational awareness, just like everything else, paying attention to what's going on around you all the time. Knowing what the area is going to be like before you get there, doing a little bit of research. So all this stuff is just really important stuff to think about. Things like not really going all out when you get into a fight, that might not be something that you already knew, so that's an important thing. But try and work that progression. If you do get arrested, try and get out of being arrested. If you do get to jail, try and get your own cell. Try and make it the most comfortable and give yourself the best chance to survive. If you go to general population, stay to yourself. If somebody tries you, show that you're willing to fight. Okay, maybe even do the little douchebag pushing thing, depending. Read the person. Are they a good fighter or are they just a bully? If you push them real hard and show that you're willing to fight, well, can you de-escalate the situation without hurting the person? No? Okay, hurt the person. Can you break his arm and de-escalate the situation without having to kill him? Okay, no? Okay, now you got to go crazy. Now you've got to hurt enough people bad enough and fast enough that the rest of the people around you think, oh, this guy knows how to fight. He just killed 2 guys. I'm going to think twice before I jump in on that. These are a natural progression of events that obviously most of you guys probably aren't aware of. Most of you guys probably haven't been in those situations, and that's understandable. That's great. On one hand, sometimes I wish I hadn't been in these situations, because now my mind is permanently hardwired to see things that nobody else sees. Okay, so it's very difficult for me to go around and see all of these things when nobody else that's with me is seeing these things. I read people, I see things that I'm understanding, and other people that are with me will say, man, you're really harsh for judging somebody like that, or why do you think that? I don't see that. And it's because I can recognize things because of experience. So you really just need to train yourself to recognize this stuff, think through it. I've got a video up as well on proprioception and visualization. So visualize through some of these circumstances. When you're doing that research of the area that you're going to, okay, where's the police station? Where's the hospital in this town? What's the public transportation like? Am I renting a vehicle? What happens? Okay, am I allowed to drive without a driver's license? Am I allowed to drive with an American driver's license? What are interactions like with the police? All of these things are things you need to think about before you just go to another country. And then getting arrested in a foreign country, it has those natural progression of events, like I'm telling you, where you need to, at each level, be looking out for yourself. The more educated you are, the more you're going to be able to help yourself. The more you're paying attention to your surroundings, the more you're going to be able to help yourself. The more you know how to fight, the more physical fitness that you're in. All of this stuff that's all pre-planned is going to help you so much better. Finally, if you're doing something illegal like transporting drugs or something like that, it's so much more important that you do understand how things work in that country and all of the aspects of who you're dealing with, who controls the drug trade, everything like this, everything like that. Because then you're really just asking to go to jail. So you really need to have a super good plan for what happens when you do go to jail, because you probably are going to go to jail and eventually, or you're going to get killed, or you're going to get in a shootout situation. Okay, so I've been to jail. I've been in the shootout situations. I've done all that. That's why I'm sharing this information with you guys. Okay, in closing, I'll share a little story about how I could have been arrested in a foreign country and didn't get arrested because of this El Sicario shirt that I'm wearing right now. And that really goes into feeding what I'm telling you about playing the part. You have to play the part. So if you're going to a foreign country on vacation, you need to look like a tourist. So that's why I make the Hawaiian pattern in this shirt. I also have a black pattern, but this shirt allows me to conceal weapons because of the two-layer fabric. It allows me to take it off and stash that weapon because it's multicam on the inside, and I can wrap it around and stick it in some bushes, and it can't be found because now it's camouflage. But I was wearing one of these shirts, passed up to a military checkpoint. They asked me if they could search the vehicle. They started searching the vehicle. I was with a couple girls, and one of them had forgotten her ID. So that's a big problem. You have to have your ID everywhere that you go. And then my Overland Expedition Titan, there's a bunch of videos here on the Nissan Titan Overland Expedition build that I had done. And it was on a boat in a shipping container, and somehow it got cockroaches inside of it. So I had just got the truck off of the shipping container, and it had some cockroaches inside of it. This amazing, awesome truck. Put all this money into it, super awesome build, and it had a couple cockroaches running around inside. I was like, my goodness. So I just got this white powder cockroach poison and just poured it all over in the back seat and in between the subwoofers in the back and on the floor around the truck to kind of just really deal with that problem right away, and it worked, and thank God everything was fine with that. But here I get pulled over. These military are searching my truck. The one girl doesn't have an ID with her. Both girls look young. They were like 20, 21 years old. They start searching through the truck, and they find tomahawks and knives and all of this stuff that I have with me, and then they find this white powder, and they're really going, and they're really starting to escalate things. They perk up. They call the other guys over. And I'm like, at that point, I played the full tourist. I'm like, look, hey, I'm a tourist. I just shipped my truck here. Here's the paperwork. Luckily, I could speak Spanish. I told them, look, this is poison. This is poison for cockroaches because my truck I was able to assure them that I was a tourist and that I was just hanging out. And then I don't even remember, honestly, whether I had to pay a couple bucks or whatever which would basically be a bribe, but in that case would have been considered a fine if I did, but I don't remember if I had to pay or not for this young lady not having her ID. They made us sit around for a while, but if I would have been a local, or if I would not have had this shirt or actually looked like I was on vacation or had a reason to back it up, they probably would have arrested me and put my truck to where they pull everything apart on the truck, pull out the subwoofer, pull all the boxes apart. I even, on that truck, I have a area that's a hidden storage thing. So they actually, if they would have looked deeper into it, they would have found, which was very illegal. I didn't have drugs in it or anything, but I have a hidden storage container in that truck. And in the United States, it's not illegal to have a hidden storage thing. It's called a caleta here in Latin America, and it's very illegal to have one of those. So if they would have looked deeper, I could have got arrested for that. And also, there's a lot they could have arrested me for and just held me to try and test that poison to see if it was cockroach poison. But really, at the end of the day, the shirt saved me. The shirt and my story and having an idea of what I was going to be getting into. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Hopefully that answers the question. If you guys like these stories, if you want to hear more stories, I need you guys to help me keep these coming by supporting the channel. You don't have to give me any money. I'm not asking for donations or handouts or anything like that. I'm only asking you to click the like button, comment below, subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed, and share this with at least one friend. If you share every video that you like of mine, if you share it with at least one person, you're helping me to be able to make more videos. I'm trying to make a video a day right now. It's incredibly difficult to film a video a day, but I will be able to keep doing that, I think, for a while at least. The only way that I'm going to be able to keep doing it is if my channel's growing and you guys are supporting these videos. So if you want to see a video a day, please share this video, comment, get involved in the channel. That's the only way I'm going to be able to keep doing this. If you like it, I need your feedback. I need your support. I appreciate it. I'm answering questions. A lot of these questions are questions you guys asked me. So comment below with your question, that whatever you want to know, and I'll do a video on it for you. If I haven't already done a video on it, I'll do one. And like I said, share, and thanks for watching. Bone out.